Jess!
Come on! Episode 98. Come
We are
on!
so close.
So close.
Two weeks. Woo! So
Crazy.
tell me about your day. You had a party to go to.
Party. I had a party, everyone. I'm a party girl. Well, no, not really. It was just 5 minutes down the road from here.
You're a Barbie girl.
I'm a Barbie girl. Yeah, it was like all the other weeks. I don't know what it's been. I'd been getting up at like 7:30 in the morning, even if it's the weekend. For this day, I slept my ass off until
Today.
like 12. Yeah. I was like drowsy in bed last night. I would have fallen asleep at maybe at about 1, but still solid effort, like 12 hours. I was out. I was completely gone. And I'll tell you a funny story. So for the Catholics out there, we all know it's Good Friday.
Have you been good, Jess?
No, not at all.
No Easter egg for you. That's how it works.
I know. But I got up and I was like, oh, I'm going to go get something to eat. So I went to the supermarket here. I'm like, oh, the kebab shop's still open and there's no line here. Wow. Okay. So I went in, bought myself a lamb kebab with extra lamb, came home, devoured it. And I was just like, what a good day. Like, amazing. There was no lines. There was no fuss. I parked right near where the kebab shop was, everything. And I'm like, and then it took me 10 minutes afterwards. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's Good Friday. Whatever. Like, I don't mean any harm to anyone. I was just hungry and I forgot about all
that. You don't know how. I'm sorry. I'm going to just stop the podcast. You don't know how, Jess.
You're done.
100%.
Yeah, but I enjoyed myself.
God save your soul. God bless your soul. Because the devil's got it.
I know. It makes me think about all the other religions and what they have in like, don't eat pork, this, that, and everything. And I'm here just
Ramadan, the fasting. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember being in Dubai at the time and you're not allowed to eat at all when you're in public. And because I was a tourist walking around, I'm just like, it got to a point where I'm like, no, I need to have something. You can't even drink water in public. It was at that level. You can't, zero. And with the heat, I was like, I can't anymore. I'm going to the toilet to have like just a snack because their toilets are like, they have the toilets and then they have a sitting room. It's like a whole situation there in Dubai. And so I went into the cubicle because there were people looking like, I don't know, cops or whoever, the mall people just coming in and just having a look. But then they started knocking on the toilets if you take too long. And I'm there having like a little tiny, I was having a sandwich and I was having water. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm a tourist. I can't. Like, and the heat's killing me. But you're meant to take your food and go to your hotel room and do what you want. Like if you're a tourist, but yeah, that's my little story.
You could have ended up in prison. Anyway, so how was the party?
The party was really good. It was Natasha's. Woo. It was just down the road.
Happy birthday.
She rocks up hungover and she's like, oh, I didn't think people would come at the, smack bang on point. And we're just like, no, we're here for you. And she comes in and there's balloons and her entire family's there. She's like, oh shit. Well, hopefully the family listens to this podcast. But yeah, it was good. Like they had, so her cousin now has 3 little kids under the age of 5. They had an Easter egg hunt outside. I, of course, got involved and took some eggs. But yeah, it was good. Like, it was very casual. And I stayed there until like half an hour ago. And it was just me, Tash, and the sisters. Because I've known the sisters since I was like Danielle, like her youngest sister is now 22, 23. I've known her since she was like a toddler. So I've known them for a long time. And it was just cool. Like it was just, we were just bonding like over memories in high school. And these teachers, like Mr. Jerez came up in a conversation and Van Duppen, our ex-principal. And then we're just like, oh, whoops, he passed away. And we're just like, oh. So it was good to like exchange and go. Like it's been 12 years for us, I would say high school. Yeah, 12 years. And it feels like yesterday when you're in a group of people that you like grew up with. It's nice to reminisce.
Reminisce. Oh, that sounds lovely. You've had a very lovely day.
Lovely day. Yeah.
Birthday parties.
Yeah. It was great.
Everything.
I ate and I ate and I ate as I do. She had salmon because apparently I've forgotten about all this religious stuff, but apparently you're meant to have fish on Good Friday. I don't know. That's what one of them said. Is that right? I don't know. But yeah, it was great. Apparently it was when Jesus caught a fish and then he doubled it and tripled it in order to feed a town or something.
No.
Oh, tell me, because I don't know.
So today is the day that Jesus died on the cross.
Yeah. No. But that's it's meant to like commemorate. You're meant to eat it on this day as well, apparently.
Yeah, but it's more just a ritual and a practice of abstaining from meat, like we do on Ash Wednesday.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yes, it was a good day, I would say.
Yeah.
What was your day?
So I woke up early, went for a walk and a run. Yeah. And then I haven't been feeling 100%, but you just got to roll with it. Hence, we're doing this by Zoom. Zoom.
I was getting
my day was pretty yesterday was hectic, moving apartment, getting it cleaned and everything. The cleaner arrived late. Meant to be there at 1:00. They arrived at 4.
Oh gosh.
7. Yeah, it was very. Then I had to drop the key back this morning, so I went to Box Hill, drove up there and dropped it back. Just a very, I don't know, I just think, when you just a lot was happening, just a bit run down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving is always hectic. Moving out, moving in. I don't know. Not like I know.
So much to do and everything. And then getting it cleaned was good though. Having someone else do it and do it really well was good. I was like, here's the money, just get it done. And then when I went back inside, all the lights were turned off and they weren't working. And I was like, oh God, I've been jibbed. They've just taken the money and ran. Anyway, and I went back inside and I was like, oh no, they've done it. It's all steam clean. The floors were spotless. The windows were done, everything. The oven, the microwave, the fridge, everything was spotless. I was like, cool. I shouldn't have any problem getting back my, what's it called? Bond. So, because that's dependent upon the state of the apartment. So it looked the best I ever seen, cleaning wise. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I'm gonna miss it because I always drive past from work.
There's no English, and she's like, "Parking spot. You have parking spot. $3.50." It was funny.
Really?
Yeah. She's like, "Pay now." At the beginning.
Oh no.
It was funny.
That's a bit awkward.
Sorry, you were going to say something and I interrupted.
No, it's all good. I was falling asleep 10 minutes before the podcast, so I quickly made a coffee, and now
So
I'm just
I'm coffee high.
I don't know. I still feel drowsy. I think it's just been a chill day. It's been a chill day.
Yeah.
And now,
well, the full moon is on Easter Sunday. It's almost the full moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard something about that. So in Sri Lanka, they call it the full moon day Poya. And so apparently what they do, they boil a milk in a clay pot, and it's meant to go over the pot, and that's meant to be good luck. I probably have butchered this, but yeah, so that I saw a friend post something about that on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, it's the full moon. So now I think maybe it's that. Like I feel drained because it's the full moon, eh? Coming up.
Possibly. Could be onto something.
Could be.
I can hear myself.
Like
oh, no.
Oh no, James. I feel like it's like one of those moments when you're like in a negative situation and then it becomes positive. Like it's so, this is one of them, isn't it? Like the negative situation of moving out, and then the positive is you relaxing in bed. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. 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 I came up with this topic. I think I was driving home from Jackie's that night and it popped up. And I was like, sometimes you can just go through shit in life. And then all of a sudden you're like, when you're not foco analyzing, that's not even a word. When you're not focusing 110% onto something. I think I mentioned it when I was there. Yeah. When you're not 100% focusing on something, and then you get the answer and it's positive, like in the end, you know? Have you ever been in that sort of a situation, James?
Yeah, I have been. One of those situations was when I was living in a halfway house in Vancouver. I was just like, holy shit, what the hell did I get myself into? I went upstairs and it just wasn't what I was expecting. She was like, oh, I'm a custom builder. I can custom build you anything. Meanwhile, her son like knocked me up this thing anyway. It wasn't like, it was good, like what he did, etc. So got to be grateful. But I just remember being like, oh no, like really bad. This isn't a good idea. You've made a massive mistake. You've already paid a deposit. That you can't really get out of this. You need to stay here. And then, you know, it worked out to be one of the best, you know, places and houses that I've ever lived in. And like so much happened there, you know, good and bad, but like majority of it was good. It was a learning. So it was definitely one of those situations where it appeared bad, but, you know, it all worked out for the best in the end.
Yeah, you have so many stories that you come up with, and I'm just like, in the moment you must have been like, what the hell is happening? But what an experience.
Yeah, so much happened. Like
yeah,
a lot. I'm trying to think of other experiences that I've had that were really bad and then worked out to be really good. Okay, I lost my bag. That was another one. I was really hungover. I think I've told this many times on the podcast. I was hungover. Sorry if you've already heard the story, but for those who haven't, I'll just quickly rehash it. I was hungover in Oslo, been out. Anyway, went to the airport and I didn't want to manually check in my bag. I wanted the airport staff to do it. So I lined up and told them, oh, look, I just need someone to check in this bag. I'm going to Split to see my auntie and uncle. Can you please check it in? No, you've got to do it yourself, sir. I was like, oh, I'm hungover. Anyway, so I went over in a huff and a puff and I'm trying to do it and all this kind of stuff. And I throw on the bag and it's like, do you have flammables? I'm like, yeah, blah, 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 you know, because it's printed out my boarding pass and the ticket that you got to put on your bag. Anyway, it's going through that. It's like, do you have any flammables? I'm like, nah. And then it's like, except that, you know, you this baggage is yours and that you've packed it or what. And I was like, yes. And then my bag takes off and I'm holding the little strap that I was meant to put on it. And I'm like, in a frenzy as it's taking off on the carousel. And I'm like, do I jump on the carousel and like try and get it and like run along like a Mr. Bean kind of moment? And then I was like, no, you can't do that. They're going to think you're bloody crazy. You might get shot or something. So I was like, I'm calling out to them. I'm like, my bag, I've got this. Anyway, I went over there and they're like, what? And then they stopped it, but it was too late. It had already gone down like the hole. Anyway, and then I was describing it to her and all this, and I was a bit upset because I was like, I didn't even want to do it in the first place. You made me sign in, do it myself manually using the computer system, and that was a terrible idea. Anyway, so I got told to to catch the flight and do a claim for lost luggage once I had arrived where I had arrived. Because obviously it's going to be the one bag down there that doesn't have a tag, yeah, like telling it where it should go. So I end up in Split, end up telling them, look, I nearly missed my flight as well because I was waiting with the wrong people, and I realized at the last minute, these aren't my people. I was waiting at the wrong gate. It just wasn't my morning. Hadn't gone through passport checkpoint, was running to the gate, literally just made it. They were about to just, go ahead without me. They didn't call my name over the announcement, but I wasn't in the area, so I think they might have been, but I hadn't passed passport control, which I didn't know that you needed to, which makes sense if you're traveling to another country. But I just kind of had that like strange kind of idea that maybe it was like domestic flying where you just have to like kind of just get on a plane. There's not that whole process. Anyway, there is that whole process when you're traveling from Norway to Croatia. Anyway, and I hadn't even passed passport security. I was literally just I pushed my way past people going, sorry, I'm my plane. And I couldn't look at them in the eye. I'm like, got my head down, just walking. And people like, because there was a big long line. I think it was a Monday morning. Anyway, yeah, I was literally doing that, Jess, like this. And pushing my way all the way to the front. And then I got to the front of the line, and the lady at the passport control office, there was this little kid, and she was like, oh, it's so beautiful, blah, blah, and talking in Norwegian about the child and holding up the passport and everything. And it was taking ages. Anyway, I was just standing behind, like tapping my foot. And then I like finally got there, and she's like, what's your business? Yeah, leaving, like blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh, I'm running really late for my flight. Can we like hurry this up? Like I'm going to Croatia to visit my things. And she's like, not my problem. Anyway, I was just like
a narcissist.
Yeah. Anyway, and then I was like, grabbed it. She like stamped it finally, and then I was just ran. And then anyway, they're like, James Walker. I'm like, yes. They're like, lucky, we were just about to close the gate. And then I stepped onto the bus. It was like one of those doors that were open, and the bus had pulled up right to it. And then she literally just hit the thing. And after she scanned my ticket, and I got on, and then the bus doors closed. And I was like, oh my God, I would have been number one without a bag, like anything. And I would have been stuck in Oslo. And I was like, lucky I'm without my bag, but getting on a flight to, go see my auntie and uncle. So I was like, that's good.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So then I got on, and then I saw them, and they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't put the bloody ticket thing. I got it still in my hands.
Well, I got the ticket here though.
Yeah. And then the guy was looking at me in Croatia, just being like, have you ever traveled? Anyway, so yeah, it was pretty funny. And then I got my bag back. So I was like, all upset about it, being like, I'm not going to get back because I left my photos, my laptop, and my hard drives with all the footage from Turkey, where hundreds of probably thousands of pictures, probably about like 5,000 pictures in total from my trip and videos and all that kind of stuff. So I was like pretty upset and kind of depressed about it, because I was like, oh, this is the worst. Everything went wrong. nearly missed my flight, but just made it. So that was like a little bit of a positive, like a little bit of a silver lining.
Yeah.
But then my bag arrived because I forgot about it. I was like, oh, I don't have it. It is what it is. I lost all my photos. And my mum and dad were like, what? Anyway, and I was like, yeah, I put in a baggage claim. I haven't heard anything. And then my auntie was like, they called me, James. Your bag's coming. I told them to ship it to the island of this. Anyway, so here I am on the furthest remote island, and they're going to put it on a ferry, and then I'll have to go collect it at, I think it was 7:00 that night. It was expected to be in. Anyway, and they're like, go into the back and ask the security people at the back of the ferry once all the cars have left, like gotten off it. So it's kind of like a Spirit of Tasmania kind of ferry, but like smaller. Anyway, so all the cars had gotten off, and then I went on and I was there with my dad. Anyway, dad's like, yeah, just go up. Anyway, I went up and I'm like, oh, my bag from the airport. And the guy's like, yeah, no worries. Anyway, so I go inside. And it was like kind of like what I imagine was like Croatian mafia kind of people, if that kind of makes sense. Anyway, so I go into this back room, and it's like really tense when I got inside the back room. It's just me and these guys. Anyway, get in there, and there's like guys sitting at a table all together. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going on here. But it was like the room was pretty tense, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then he was like, yeah, I'm going to get like, he was like scrambling around for my bag and whatnot. I'm like, definitely my camera's gone. Definitely my laptop's gone. Definitely like these people look the most shadiest people I've ever seen in my life. They look like real like mafia people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then he's like, here you go. And I'm like, thank you. Have a good night. Anyway, and I was like, it's just not going to be in here. There's no point like looking right now. And that also makes you look pretty strange, like pulling it open and making sure that your laptop's in there and that. I was like, oh, it's pretty heavy still. So it might still have my laptop and thing. And I'm carting it back all the way across town, all the way back to the my auntie and uncle's yacht. Anyway, I finally get back there and I open it up. And my hard drive's there, my laptop's there, my camera's there, my SD cards are there, and I'm just like, you are so fucking lucky.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure, like, no, but that was the silver lining. Like, I had all these bad thoughts. I was like, you're never going to get your bag back. That's all gone. Everything you've done's gone. It's all thing. But I also believe though that like in those situations, it's good to be ready to like not have any expectations. I think that kind of helps it. Yeah.
I had something similar for me actually. I was going to say another story, but as soon as you mentioned the airport, I'm like, no, we're going to mention this story where I had something similar, except for it wasn't luggage. So me and mum were in, this was Dubai actually. It was the last time we were in Dubai. Normally we'd transit in Dubai and go to Europe. It'll just be an easier trip for mum because she's older, of course, for her to break the journey. Otherwise for me, I'd just go straight. So we were in Dubai and we were about to go to, I think this was London. Yeah, London. So we landed and we were transitioning, and it was half an hour before the flight to London. And I was like, okay, before we get on this plane, like the one thing I hate about planes is not the turbulence or anything, which also annoys me, is the fact that they don't give me food as soon as I sit down. Yeah, you have to wait in the line, wait to sit down and put your luggage, and then you have to wait until the plane takes off, and then they again do whatever they give you nuts. I was like, I want a meal. Yeah. So but I now figured out a hack. I'm going to now take 2-minute noodles. A friend told me, it was just like, why don't you just ask them for hot water and just bring your own 2-minute noodles in a cup? And I'm like, oh, so that solves that now. But at the time, I was in a line and I was like, okay, half an hour before the flight, I'm just going to get breakfast, have a coffee, all good. And it's just opposite where the terminal is. And then all of a sudden, my mum comes behind me and she's just like, Jessica, Jessica. I'm like, what, mum? What? And she goes, I can't find my watch. And she was almost in tears because she spent so much money on this watch. And I'm just like, what do you mean you don't have the watch, mother? And she was basically like, no, I just don't know. I can't find it in the bags. And I was in a line to get breakfast. And I was just like, okay. So I left the line, going through the hand luggage, going through everything. Mum's panicking. She goes, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I'm just like, okay, you stand here. I know it's half an hour before the doors close. I mean, well, we get on the plane, but just stand right here and don't move. I took off like no one's business. And anyone that knows Dubai Airport, it is fucking massive. They've got two sections. They have the main section, then you have to go on a shuttle to get to the other section, depending on where you're going. Yeah. So and then the only thing I could think of is the part where you have to go through this, where you get scanned in and you have to take all your jewelry and this, that, and everything and put it in like the tray. And then, yeah, they pat you down or whatever. That was the only thing I could think of. But I knew that it was at the other section. So I was like, okay, in this section, there's a lost and found. So I quickly ran, and there's signs everywhere saying where the lost and found was. Ran, went downstairs, completely left mum. She was just panicking upstairs. Left mum, and I'm like, Dad, can you tell? I called Dad. He was in Melbourne at the time. And I was like, okay, I can't remember what brand this watch is. What is it? And I remember what it looked like. It was gold and silver, but I could not remember the brand. And Dad was like, it's Citizen. It's Citizen. I'm like, okay, you call mum and just calm her down. I'll deal with this. I go to Lost and Found. And Dubai is it's beautiful and luxurious, but their Lost and Found stinks and it's disgusting. And there's like plastic containers of like all shoes, this, that, and everything. And I'm just like, I'm looking for this. I'm looking for this. They're like, no, it's not here. Otherwise we would have gotten a call. I'm like, can you call the place where they scanned us? Can you call the security guards to just double check? So he calls and he's just like, I don't know. There's a couple of watches there. And I was like, where is it? Where is it? Tell me exactly where the location is. And he goes, okay, you have to get into the shuttle bus, go straight back there, like almost to the beginning of the other section. So I took off, quickly got into the shuttle bus, took off, and then went to the other section. And I'm like, at the security guards, I'm just like, look, I'm looking for a Citizen watch. It's about this small. It's gold and silver. Do you have any watches? And then he brings out an entire tray. And I'm just like, I've never seen so many watches in my life. This tray was massive. And I'm talking Rolexes, all the brands you could possibly imagine. And I'm in my head going, imagine if I could just take a Rolex right now. But no, I was like, I want a Citizen watch. It wasn't there. I went through all the watches, men's watches, women's watches, wasn't there on that tray. I'm panicking. And I was like, I was at this specific terminal in order to get scanned. It's not here. And then I was just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I just took like 1 minute of just calm down for a second. This security guard that was trying to help me with the tray took the tray back. And then he comes back and he's just like, sorry, there's nothing we can do. And I'm just like, oh no. And then he starts giggling and he holds up the Citizen watch right in front of my face. And I'm like, what? And he's like, have a good flight. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the exact watch. And then I couldn't mentally process it. By this time, I would have had 15 minutes until the flight. And I'm looking at this watch going, holy shit, like I've done it. I've pulled it off. Like I have the watch right here. And he's like, go to your flight. I'm like, true, sir, true. And then I took the watch. I'm like, thank you so much. All the security guards are looking at me. I get back into the shuttle. I called Dad. I'm like, don't worry. I found it. I'm going to go find mum. So I got into the shuttle and there's a massive escalator. So you have to go up this escalator. I was running up it and praying to God I didn't trip up. And everyone's lining up in order to get onto the plane. And mum had the biggest like panic face on. And she goes, why did you just take off like that? I don't give a shit about the watch. I only care about the flight, like in you getting on the flight. I don't want to be separated from you. And I was just like, oh, okay, sorry, I didn't find the watch, mum. She goes, don't worry about it. And then I gave her the watch, like what the security guard did to me. And she's like, oh my God, you found the watch. And she was so happy. And the entire flight, like She's looking at the watch and I'm falling asleep and she's looking at the watch. And still to this day, like when I take her out and about, she always puts that watch on when we go out for coffee or whatever. I'm like, remember that time?
Such an epic story. I think you even told that to me. You've told that before, but I love that story.
No,
It
it's
was such a good one.
we were like at the end of that line. They weren't saying the final announcements, but we were at the end of that line. And I'm like, I didn't have anything to eat, but that's one hell of an accomplishment. I never would have imagined. I thought they would have lied about it, having the watch, and they knew exactly what I was talking about, like the same mentality as you. Yeah. So it was just that thing of just calm down, do everything that you can in the moment, apply yourself 100%. There is also a part of you that's like, fuck it, like I'll just buy another watch when we go to London or whatever. But I'm like, no, give it a shot. Mum, I knew you put a lot of effort to buy the watch. And somehow, but yeah, she always like, she wears it to Crown or wherever she goes and she's looking at it. She still does it. And she's like, memories.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is literally amazing. I love that.
Hectic.
I love that.
Yeah. And then
Isn't it the most amazing kind of experience is that, like, I think how like a possession, like you can just be like, it's gone, like it's lost. There's nothing we can do. It's gone. It's like thing. And then like there's something about like
giving up and release
comes back to you. Yeah. And you're just like,
yeah.
you're like, no way.
Kind of like
I was like, no way it's gonna come back to me. I'm like, it's gone. It's just gonna sit. I was like in my head, it's just gonna sit in Oslo in the lost and found forever.
Yeah. And somehow when you just release it and give up, that's the one moment. Kind of like when I got my job that I'm in now, I gave up. I put in so much effort and I was still applying myself, but that part of me was just like, I've done all that I can. Whatever comes, like, and you're just like, what? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. Amazing.
I think I told you when I was in London, I'm like, you won't believe the shit show I've been through.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Good chat though. That's half an hour.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening and everyone.
Bye.
Bye.